What's wrong? Zach is planning on attacking Alpha Rider and his pack. The Blood Falls pack is a lot stronger than our pack. I'm sure Alpha Rider will be okay. I shake my head and move away slightly. No, you don't understand. Zach was able to lead Ryder into a trap, and now Zach is going to attack him and the few men that he brought. Zach has a whole army. There's no way that Alpha Rider and his men will be able to survive, I manage to say before I start sobbing again. John pulls me into his arms again before picking me up and bringing me into his office. He sits me down in his chair before he goes and grabs some water. He rubs my tears away before handing me the bottle of water. I take a few sips before putting the bottle down. John stares at the floor for a few minutes before he lifts his head and his eyes lock to mine. You need to call someone at the Blood Falls pack and tell them. You can save lives by doing this. It's the right thing to do, John says firmly. I gulp quietly before I stand up. He's right, I need to do this. I walk out of our room before sneaking over to Zach's office. I look around to make sure no one is looking before I walk into his office and lock the door behind me. I look around and try to see if he has a number for Ryder's pack. I search on his desk but don't see anything. I try to open some of the drawers, but they're locked. I curse slightly before rubbing my temples. Calm down, Chelsea. Getting frustrated isn't going to help anyone. I count to 10 in my head while tapping my fingers on my thigh. I feel myself relax and I can't help but smile slightly. Usually I would have done something crazy if I got angry, but this time I was able to calm myself down. John would be so proud of me. I'm glad he talked me into seeking professional help. With a clear and determined mind, I start looking through Zach's office again. I know I can find the paper if I search long enough. After a few minutes of searching, I finally find the key to the drawers, and once I unlock them, I find his files on all the other packs. I almost scream with joy, but I contain myself. It wouldn't do me any good to get caught snooping around. I grab Alpha Rider's file before locking up the drawers and putting the keys away. I sneak out of the office and head back to my room. I open my door quietly before closing the door behind me. I close the door behind me and lock it. I pull out my cell phone while heading over to my bed. I set the file on my bed before opening it with shaky fingers. I skim through the file until I find a phone number. My grip on my phone tightens and I lick my dry lips. I unlock my phone before typing in the number that I see on the paper. I quickly press call before I can chicken out of it. The phone rings 4 times before someone answers it. Hello? A deep voice answers the phone. I use one hand to hold my phone while the other one plays with the end of my shirt. Is this the Blood Falls pack? I ask hesitantly. Yes, this is. Who are you and why are you calling? This is Chelsea. I'm from the Crescent Falls pack, and I need to tell you something really important. I practically beg through the phone. I cross my fingers, hoping that he'll hear me out. I want to help them. I know I've done a lot of wrong in my life, but I want to change that. Why should I trust you? Because I know that Zach is planning on attacking your alpha sometime late tonight or early tomorrow morning. It's silent on the other side for a few seconds, and I wonder if he hung up on me. Hello, are you still there? When I don't hear an answer, I start to hang up until I hear him let out a string of curses. I put my phone back to my ear just in time to hear his answer. Tell me everything you know. Elizabeth's POV. I watch as the guys all start forming a circle around me. They all have arrogant smirks on their faces and an amused glint in their eyes. Some of them are even looking at me lustfully. I want to growl at them, but I force myself to remain calm. Never attack the enemy blindly. Use the first couple of minutes to see their strength and weakness. Carter's words from training ring in my head, and I take in a deep breath. So are you going to answer my question? The guy in the middle questions while raising an eyebrow in my direction. He's a tall, chunky guy, only slightly bigger than the rest of the men, and he has a long, jagged scar running down from right next to his left eye to the top of his chin. I grimace lightly but stand a little taller to show that I'm not afraid of him, even though I kind of am. You asked me a question? I reply with fake innocence. His amused expression immediately turns into one of annoyance and a deep scowl forms on his face, making him look really scary. I gulp quietly and take a small step back. Don't test my patience, you little slut. Answer my question. He roars, his face turning red with anger. Well, that escalated quickly. Someone definitely woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Wow, okay, first of all, you have some major anger management problems. I only asked if you asked me a question. There was no reason for you to blow up like that. Secondly, your breath stinks, like really badly. I can smell it from all the way over here, and let me just say, it's not pleasant. I say before pulling my shirt up to cover my nose. I wasn't kidding when I said that his breath smells really bad. Good Lord, what has he been eating? Alex and Belle snicker quietly in my head, and the man's face turns even more red. You little pathetic piece of she. Wow. Okay, seriously, chill out. There's no reason for you to be using that kind of language. Calm down. He growls at me before lunging at me. I quickly dodge his attack by jumping to the side. His eyes start turning a blood-red color, and I let out a gasp. I'm pretty sure your eyes aren't supposed to look like that. I could be wrong, though. I look around me, seeing where all the guys are standing before I turn my focus back to the guy who attacked me. He slowly walks towards me, his body shaking in fury. A small smile forms on my face as an idea pops into my mind. If I can keep getting him mad, then I can take him out easily. He seems to be one of those people who loses their tempers quickly and just attacks without thinking of their actions. This is going to be a piece of cake, Alex exclaims excitedly. Is that all you've got? I ask, while putting a hand on my hip and tilting my head to the side. The guy's eyes narrow slightly before he starts charging at me. I brace myself before jumping over him at the last second, which causes him to run into a few of his men and stumble to the ground. A few of his men chuckle, and a small smirk forms on my lips. He growls loudly before standing up and clenching his fists. His tense body starts walking around me in a circle, and I just stare at him blankly. You better wipe that arrogant smirk off your face or I'll make you, he yells before charging at me. He looks like an angry bull. I dodge his attack again by moving out of the way, and he lets out a powerful growl, before staring at me with his piercing red eyes. I think I'm going to call him Red Eyes from now on. Stop messing around. Fight me, you little brat. He turns around to say something to one of his men, and that's when I choose to attack. I run over to him before jumping in the air and kicking the side of his head. His head whips back and his neck cracks. I grimace slightly and move away from him, and getting into a fighting stance, I know he's not going to be happy when he gets up. It's time to be serious, though. I can't keep dodging his attacks all night. I take a quick glance to the side, and I can faintly make out Zach's and Carter's wolf forms snapping at each other. My eyes wander back to Red Eye's shaking form. I stare at him, waiting for him to make another move, and completely forget to check my surroundings again. Out of nowhere, one of his men grabs the back of my neck and starts choking me. I try to pry his fingers off my neck, but he has a tight grip, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be letting go anytime soon. I struggle around in his hold, while some of the other men start laughing. A flare of anger goes through my body, and I grit my teeth and focus on finding a way out of this. When he loosens his grip for a second to laugh with his buddies, I turn my body around before I kick him in the face, which causes him to drop me onto the ground as blood starts gushing out of his nose. I start moving away from the guys in case one of them tries to grab me again while gasping for air. I wince at the pain in my throat and start taking smaller breaths. My hands move up to my neck and I start gently massaging it. I swallow my fear and make my decision. I don't have enough time to wait for them to make their moves. If I wait like I did last time, I could be dead in a matter of moments. It's time to bring out the big guns. I didn't want to use my powers just yet, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I take in a deep breath before concentrating on using my powers. The rumbling of the ground beneath my feet makes me smile as I feel my powers flowing throughout my veins. The men start looking towards the ground and at each other with frowns on their faces. They start murmuring to each other and moving away from me and towards the clearing. I take a few steps back into the shadows, hoping no one will see me. I lift my hands above my head, and thunder clouds start rolling across the sky. I focus on the clouds, and I can feel my eyes dilating and my body starts to pulse with energy. In a matter of seconds, Pillars of fire start to rain down on the clearing, along with icicles. Zack and Carter stop fighting and shift back to their human forms. Zack looks as flabbergasted as the rest of his men, while Carter finds me in the woods and gives me a small nod. The icicles and the pillars of fire start falling from the ground faster and faster, and I watch as everyone, but Carter, starts to run around, trying to escape. In all this commotion, no one has noticed that I'm the one that's controlling this death storm. I'm not sure what they're thinking right now, but I'm grateful that it's on anything but me. I know that I wouldn't be able to keep this storm up while trying to defend myself. I watch as a few people get burned from the fire or stabbed by the icicles. I feel a pinch of guilt in my heart, but I try to push it away and ignore it. I feel conflicted because I know that these men have probably taken a lot of innocent lives before, but I don't think I can do the same thing to them. I'm not sure I can take away someone's life. It's just not me. I have to remind myself that I'm just doing this to protect myself and the people I care about. It doesn't take away all the guilt, but it takes away most of it. The commotion continues for a few more minutes before Zack stops running and lets out a growl. "Everyone stop! It's time for Plan B!" Zack yells suddenly. All the men who are still able to run start running away into the forest as fast as they can. Plan B is for them to run away? I can see why they would run away, though. I can be pretty intimidating when I want to be. They probably didn't want to face the same fate as the other men. I stop the storm and come out from my semi-hiding place. I walk over to Carter and see him having a glaring match with Zack. Zack looks like he took more of a beating than Carter, but that's not really surprising since Carter is a much better fighter than Zack. Carter is probably stronger than him too. However, I am kind of surprised at the fact that Zack is still alive. I don't know how you just did what you did, but don't worry, I will be sure to make you pay for your actions. Carter, I can't believe you would do something like this. You're supposed to be Patrick's beta, his right hand, but instead, you're helping the prisoner, Zack states while pacing back and forth, but still keeping his eyes on Carter. His tone is a mix between amusement and disgust. You thought I would actually help you guys in your sick plan? I'm not sure what's wrong with you two, or what goes on in your sick heads, but I don't want anything to do with your messed up plan. Carter growls with an angry scowl on his face. There was so much potential in you. It's a shame that I'm going to have to kill you for your betrayal. I'd like to see you try, Carter replies in a hard voice and with a menacing glare. I shudder slightly, and I'm thankful that that glare isn't directed at me. I'd probably pee my pants if it was. I see the flicker of fear pass through Zack's eyes before he masks it with an annoyed look. Oh, you'd be surprised with what I can do. I bite my bottom lip to keep myself from laughing. Zack has got to be one of the worst fighters I've ever seen, but here he is trying to act all tough and superior. In fact, he was just fighting with Carter, and he got his butt handed to him. Is he sure he wants a rematch? My thoughts get interrupted when I see the evil smirk on Zack's face. It's almost like he knows something that neither Carter nor I know. I frown while watching him cautiously. Why is he in such a good mood? All of his men just ran away from him, and he's smiling? Okay, something is seriously wrong with him. Well, that was fun for a warm-up. My eyebrow furrow and I look at Carter to see if he knows what Zack is talking about. Unfortunately, he looks just as confused as me. I look at Zack with raised eyebrows, waiting for him to explain himself. Instead, he just keeps staring at me with that stupid smirk of his. What are you talking about? I finally question. The smirk on his face is really starting to get on my nerves. Why does he look so confident? Carter and I definitely have the upper hand. And here he is acting like he just won the lottery. I mean that you haven't even scratched the surface on the army that I have, he replies while his eyes shine with laughter. My eyes narrow, and I try to read his facial expression to see if he's lying or not. His face is completely honest, and I feel a small lump form in the back of my throat. You have an army? I ask while examining his face to see if I was wrong. How is that even possible? Who is stupid enough to actually help him? Of course I do. You thought that I wouldn't be prepared for this? Well, you're wrong. I've been preparing for this for a long time. I can't wait to finally go through with my master plan. I'm about to ask him what he means when I start to feel the ground shaking. It almost feels like a mini earthquake is happening, and that's not a good thing since I'm not the one who's doing that. I grab onto Carter's shoulder to steady myself while taking in a deep breath to calm my nerves. I'm sure everything is fine. It was probably just a side effect of me using my powers earlier. I guess I thought too soon because the next thing I know, Carter and I are surrounded by rogues and members of the Crescent Falls pack. More and more people keep coming into the clearing, and I press myself closer to Carter. My eyes widen when I see what I think is the final amount of people that my advanced vision will allow me to see. I shared a worried glance with Carter before looking back at the crowd of people and licking my lips. There are thousands upon thousands of rogues and Zach's pack members here. I didn't know he was serious when he said that he had an army. Where did all these people come from? Carter and I don't really stand a chance now, even with my powers. It would be too much and I would get tired eventually. Did you really think this would be over that easily? Zach questions with a smug smile. Why are you doing this? My voice wavers as I speak, and Carter tightens his hold on my shoulder. I know it was supposed to be comforting, but right now, there's only one person who can comfort me. Why am I doing this? Well, that's an easy question. I'm doing this because I can. I swallow the lump in my throat and give Zach my best glare. What did I ever do to you? Why do you hate me so much? Tears start welling up in my eyes, but I refuse to let myself cry in front of him. I won't let him win. I don't exactly hate you. You're just not important to me. You're basically just extra baggage, completely and utterly useless. So you're going to kill me because I'm useless? He starts laughing like a maniac at my question, and I stare at him with a small frown on my face. What's so funny? You think I'm going to kill you? He questions while wiping under his eyes. Well, that's what it seems like. This army isn't to kill you. No, I have much bigger plans than that. This army was made to kill your so-called mate and his pack. Zach answers with an even bigger smirk. My breath gets caught in my throat and I start shaking my head. No, I won't let you do that. Zach gives me a fake sympathetic look before shaking his head. It's too late for that, sweetheart. There's nothing you can do to stop me. I try to move away from Carter, but his strong arms wrap around my waist, keeping me at his side. I look up at him and he shakes his head. Let me go, I growl at him. No, you cannot let Zach get to you. If you attack him now, there will be serious consequences. The look he gives me makes me stop struggling in his hold and relax. I know he's using his powers on me to calm me down, but I don't care at this point. I turn around and give Zach a look of disgust, but he just arches an eyebrow at me and shakes his head. Because of your acts of betrayal, Carter, I guess it's time for you to be killed. Men, go ahead and get him. I'm going to need some of you to hold down that little whore over there. Don't worry about being gentle with her. She likes it rough. I growl ripples through my chest, and Zach starts grinning mockingly. A few of the men start heading towards Carter and I grab Carter's hand before squeezing the life out of it. He gently squeezes my hand back, and when I look at his face, I see no traces of fear. He looks so brave and strong while I'm over here trying not to cry. Before the men can do anything, the direction of the wind changes, and a weird sensation starts spreading through my stomach. Everyone in the clearing stops all movement as we all sense a strong presence in the area. I take a deep breath before I smell something that has goosebumps rising on my arms and legs. The hairs on the back of my neck rise and I feel my knees buckling. My heart starts pounding against my ribs to the point where it's painful. I can feel my blood flowing through my veins faster, and I start feeling lightheaded. I turn in the direction of the smell and tears form in my eyes once I see the shadowy figure. Every blood cell in my body starts screaming with joy, and my heart stops for a minute before it beats even stronger than it did before. Only one thought is clear in my fuzzy brain as I stare at the shadow. I bit my lip to keep my sob from escaping. The shadowed figure takes a few steps forward, and small tears fall from my eyes. Zach's men take a few steps back as the figure comes forward, and they share worried glances. The fierce and determined expression on their faces fall as the figure comes into the light. My green eyes lock on blue eyes, and my tears start pouring faster. My feet move automatically towards the figure, and no one moves to stop me. It doesn't take long before my steps turn into me sprinting towards the figure. All time stands still as I come face to face with the figure. A soft hand lifts my chin up and wipes the tears from my cheeks, which causes more to fall down from my eyes. It's okay, love. I'm here now. Everything is going to be all right. A sob escapes my lips before I launch myself into his awaiting arms. Ryder, he's finally here. Elizabeth's POV. I watch in complete astonishment as I see Zach's men fall to the ground, one by one. None of them had pretty deaths either. With one flick of a wrist, their neck was snapped, and they were dead. They didn't even stand a chance. They didn't even see it coming. I now understand why everyone is so afraid of Ryder. I now know why people fear him and say that he's ruthless, especially during battle. I understand why people don't like crossing him and why they try to stay away from him. It's so strange seeing this other side of him. The Ryder I know is so much different than the Ryder that's in front of me. The Ryder that's in front of me is like a robot. He kills one person before moving into the next one. The Ryder I know made me my own library, and he spent hours reading with me. This Ryder has no expressions on his face, and his eyes are dull. The Ryder I know would look at me with so much love that it would make my heart feel like it was going to jump out of my chest. I watch in awe and fear as Ryder snaps yet another person's neck. After giving me a quick hug and kiss, he immediately went for Zach's men. The change in his body language was so drastic. Most of the men cowered and tried to move away from him. There were a few brave souls who tried to attack him, but he tore them apart easily. I catch a glimpse of Zach's scared and disbelieving face. He starts to move back and hide behind his men. "Don't just stand there! Attack him!" Zach yells. The men slowly move forward while glancing around nervously, waiting for someone else to make a move. "Don't make me come after you. It will just make things worse," Ryder warns while moving towards the men that Zach is trying to hide behind. One of the men who's behind Ryder starts slowly walking towards Ryder with a small knife in his hands. I snap out of my thoughts and start running towards the guy. There's no way I'm going to let my mate get killed. Carter's vision flashes in my brain, which causes me to run even faster. I shift into my wolf form, feeling a slight ache from not shifting in so long, before I attack him. The dagger falls from his hands, and he starts struggling underneath my paws. I growl before I sink my teeth into his neck. He howls out in pain, which catches the attention of some of the men around. I guess I'm not as intimidating as Ryder because before I know it, a group of the men starts heading towards me. Before they can do anything, though, a brown wolf, which I recognize as Carter, stands next to me and growls at them. "You take the right, I'll take the left," I say to him through our special mind link. He nods his head before crouching down into a fighting position. The next few minutes are a blur to me. 1 minute, I was fighting a red wolf, and the next second, I was pinned to the ground by a dark brown wolf. The wolf was snarling at me and trying to bite my neck. A few seconds later, the dark brown wolf was thrown off me. I look up and see Ryder in his wolf form standing above me. He reaches his head down before licking my face. His eyes roam over my body, looking for any injuries. After he makes sure that I'm fine, he runs off and goes to finish off the dark brown wolf. When I glance around me, I see more people fighting Zach's allies. They're fighting in both their wolf and human forms. My heart almost leaps out my chest when I see Brian, Jake, Chris, and other members of the Blood Falls pack here. Jake notices me and runs over to me and stands at my side protectively. If anyone tried to come near me, he would growl at them before attacking. Once we're done fighting the men who tried to attack me, Ryder motions for Jake, Carter, and I to follow him with his head. We sneak off the battlefield and head to a secluded area. We all shift back into our human forms, and Ryder immediately pulls me towards him. I see Ryder look at Carter with a skeptical look. "This is Carter. He's not a threat to us. He's on our side. He's been helping me train over the past few weeks. He's one of the only reasons why I'm still alive right now." Ryder looks over my shoulder to Carter before nodding his head. "Thank you." Carter nods his head before turning away from us, giving us a little privacy. Ryder closes his eyes before taking in a deep, ragged breath. When he opens his eyes again, they're swirling with all kinds of different emotions. "You can't be on the battlefield," Ryder tells me with a stern expression. "I can't just sit on the sidelines. I want to help." Ryder shakes his head and gently grips my shoulders. "I won't be able to fight knowing that you could be getting hurt by someone. Please stay here with Jake and Carter. It will give me a peace of mind," he says while staring into my eyes. I pout slightly before nodding my head. "All right, I'll stay here on the sidelines. I won't get involved," I mumble while looking on the ground. Ryder gently cups my cheeks and makes me look at him. "I'm not doing this because I don't think you're capable of fighting or because I think you're weak. In fact, I think the opposite of that. I know that you're strong and that you can handle yourself. I just don't want anything to happen to you." I nod my head and give him a small smile. "I know. I'm not angry. Go do what you got to do. I'll be okay," I state while pushing him away. He stares at me for a second before joining his pack on the battlefield. "Are you going to use your powers to help them out?" Carter asks while scanning his eyes over the clearing. "Yeah, since I can't actually be out there, this is the next best thing. Be careful. You don't want to hurt your pack members." "I know." "Wait, what are you guys talking about?" Jake asks with a confused look on his face. He looks between Carter and I, waiting for an explanation. "It's a long story. I'll explain later," I state before rolling my shoulders back. I vaguely remember that Carter had told me that I made a tornado at some point. I wonder if I'll be able to do that again. I start focusing all my energy into trying to form a tornado. It can't be too big, though. Like I said before, I'm not trying to hurt my pack members. I take in a deep breath before letting it out slowly. I can feel the wind picking up gradually. I repeat the process a few more times before I start moving my hands around in a circular motion. Pieces of the wind start to mix and start swirling around in a circle. I keep moving my hands for a few more moments before I send the tornado into one of the corners of the clearing where there are only enemies located. "Wait, since when have you been able to do that?" Jake asks with wide eyes. I hear Carter tell him to quiet down and that things will be explained later. The tornado catches a lot of them off guard. Some try to run away, but they're not quick enough. The tornado picks them up before roughly throwing them to the ground. Some of them are killed from the impact, and others are severely injured. I see Zach's body tense as he sees his men running around like terrified 10-year-old girls. He's only standing a few feet away from me, and he doesn't even realize it. I could kill him right now, and he wouldn't even be able to do anything. He's completely defenseless, even though he has people guarding him. "Guys, it's time to give up. We can't win," Zach grumbles as he comes out from behind the guys who were protecting him. His left eye starts twitching, and he starts clenching and unclenching his fists. Over half of his army has been destroyed. That's pretty impressive since he started with over 1,000 people. I now believe the rumor that the Blood Falls pack could easily take down a pack over 3 times its size. I always used to think that was a myth, but now I know. He makes a hand gesture towards his men before his eyes flick over to another area. One of the guards uses this device that reminds me of a whistle. The blown into it 3 times, producing this high-pitched sound 3 times. I'm not sure what that meant, but apparently Zach's allies did. One by one, they stop whatever they're doing before they fall to the ground and bow their heads down low. I frowned slightly, but I stopped the tornado and I glanced at Zach with a confused look. The Bloodfall members look just as confused as I am. They still stand in fighting positions and keep their eyes moving around the area. We all have one question going through our brains. Is he really admitting defeat? That's just not something he would do. There must be something going on. He probably has something planned, and he's just waiting for us to put our guards down. "No! Don't stop fighting! Keep going! Don't give up!" A voice suddenly yells. Everyone in the clearing turns to see a furious-looking Patrick standing there, glaring at everyone. "Where have you been?" Zach asks while scowling at him. "What do you think you're doing? We can't give up." "This isn't part of the plan," Patrick exclaims while walking towards Zach. "Dude, chill. It's not that serious," Zach says while rolling his eyes. Patrick starts growling at Zach, who looks unimpressed. We are going to keep fighting until we can't fight anymore. We will all risk our lives to reach our goal, he snarls at Zach. Are you crazy? No one's going to do that. You will all listen to me, Patrick roars. We don't have to listen to you, Patrick. You're just a bitter old man, Zach says while rolling his eyes. I am not done with this fight. This is not over yet. Just give it up. We all know who lost. There's no way that we're going to live if we keep fighting. Let's just go while we can escape with our lives. I'm actually shocked that Zach has admitted defeat. I never thought that I would see the day when Zach backed down for something. Usually, even when he knew he couldn't win, he would still be fighting or arguing to the last second. I wonder what changed his mind. No, I will never be done fighting until I've done what I've needed to do. Patrick screeches. I frown as I see the crazed look on his face. Patrick, calm down. There will be time for you to do whatever you need to do later on. Let's go. I will not give up. Patrick nods to the two men standing near him. I see them hand him something, but I can't see what it is. I stretch my neck, trying to get a better view, but I still can't see anything. I look away from him to see where everyone else is. Ryder, Brian, and Jake all stand next to each other with emotionless faces. Carter is standing near Zach, looking like he would be ready to attack if need be. The other members of the Blood Falls pack are scattered around the area near Zach's men. I just realized that now I'm completely alone and that I should have been watching my back. I suddenly feel myself being lifted up from my hiding spot by my shoulder. I struggle in Patrick's grip and I feel a burning sensation on my arm. I look at my arm and see blood flowing from pretty deep cuts on my arm caused by Patrick's surprisingly long nails. Suddenly, I'm pushed in front of Patrick and I see a silver dagger aimed straight at my heart. I suck in a deep breath and let it out slowly. He has a silver dagger. One cut from this and I'll be dead by tomorrow. Ryder starts shaking his head and makes a move to come forward. Take one step, any of you, and this silver dagger goes straight into her heart, Patrick growls while squeezing my shoulder. I wince and try to stop the tears from streaming down my face, but I feel a few fall down despite my efforts. Ryder's eyes darken considerable, and I can tell that he's fighting to keep himself from moving forward. You wouldn't dare, Ryder glowers while clenching his fists. Patrick only smirks. Care to test that little theory? He asks with fake innocence. Ryder growls and fidgets slightly. If you hurt her, I will. It doesn't matter what you do to me, she will already be dead. My goal would have already been accomplished. It wouldn't matter what happened afterwards, he says with a dark chuckle. I whimper and try to create some space between the two of us, but he just tightens his grip. Everyone in the clearing stares at him in shock before glancing at me worriedly. Even Zach and his allies look scared. Patrick, what are you doing? This isn't part of the plan, Zach hisses. Patrick just lets out another dark chuckle. This might now have been your plan, but it's definitely part of my plan. You've helped me enough, so I have to thank you for that, but I will no longer be needing your services. Zach's mouth turns into a thin line, his face showing nothing but complete and utter disgust. You tricked me. Here I thought I was 2 steps ahead of everyone, but here you are. I see the betrayed look on Zach's face, and I would feel bad, but he's part of the reason that I'm about to be killed, so I can't really sympathize with him. Yes, here I am. I am finally doing what I was called to do as a child. Now that I have everyone's attention, I'm going to start with my story. You guys better listen up. Ryder's POV. I watch in fear as my uncle holds a silver dagger to my mate's chest. I have never felt this scared before. Nothing could compare to the pain that I'm feeling right now, knowing that I can't do anything to help her. The last time I felt this helpless was when I saw my mom die. I clench my fist up and glare at my uncle. I can't wait to get my hands on him. He'll pay for what he's done. My eyes lock onto Elizabeth's, and I can see the fear lurking in her eyes. I try to mind link one of my warriors who's out of Patrick's sights, but my connection with my pack is gone. I can't mind link anyone. What's going on? I'm sure all of you are wondering what's going on. Most of you thought I was dead, but I'm obviously not dead. This all started... Patrick, no one wants to hear how crazy you are. Do us all a favor and just drop this. You can get whatever revenge you're seeking some other time. Zach says with an annoyed look on his face. My uncle growls before tightening his grip on Elizabeth, which causes her to wince. I snap my eyes over to Zach's and give him a glare that tells him to stay quiet. This all started when I was a young pup. My father was the alpha of the Bloodfalls pack, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I spent hours training with him every day and asking him questions. He was my hero, and I wanted to be just like him. However, I wasn't the oldest son. I thought that if I proved to my father that I would make an amazing alpha, he would hand me the position instead of my brother Max. I was wrong, he spits out bitterly. A scowl forms on his face as he relieves his past. Please tell us what happened next. I am so very interested in hearing your life story. Zach exclaims with fake enthusiasm. Patrick growls at him and he puts the silver dagger closer to Elizabeth's heart. My breath hitches in my throat and my body tenses. If you disrupt me again, I'm killing her, got it? Zach nods his head and quickly shuts up. Anyways, where was I? Oh right, I was talking about my dear older brother. My brother never wanted to be alpha. In fact, he did everything he could to try and make sure that he didn't become alpha. He would go out and party with his friends and come home late. He would never show up to his training sessions with my dad. He would go around sleeping with any girl he wanted to, even if they weren't willing. And he was so disrespectful to everyone in the pack. I was everything that he wasn't, and yet I still didn't get the alpha title. His eyes darken considerably before he tries to shrug nonchalantly. After a few years, I got over it. I was content with living in my brother's shadows and just going on with my life. I had good friends, I was doing well in school, and I made my parents proud. Everything changed, though, on that one day. Can he be any more dramatic? If he wasn't holding a silver dagger to my mate's heart right now, I would snap his neck to be done with this torture. I'm tired of hearing about his sad life. Unfortunately, he continues with his story. I was 16 at the time, and things were so simple. My brother was 19 at this point, so he wasn't going to school with me anymore, thankfully. I didn't have to see him all day and have him and his friends harass me. Things were starting to look up for me. I met this great girl in my AP English class, and we really hit it off. She was perfect to me, everything I had ever wanted, and more. I would have done anything for her. I knew that she wasn't my mate, but that didn't matter to me. Seriously? That's what this story is about? It's just a typical story about how two guys are fighting over a girl, and then they hate each other forever. One day, I invited her to my house. I wanted her to meet my parents. I figured that it wouldn't be a problem, since my brother was barely home. When he found out that I was having someone over, he flipped out. I was confused about why he was acting so strangely until I came home later that day with her. As soon as we walked through the door, my brother was standing there with his arms crossed over his chest. I saw his eyes dilate and Mary's eyes widen before they both said mate at the same time. I tense up again when I hear that. That means the girl that he was so into was my mom. Does this mean that he got jealous and decided to kill my mom? The typical, if I can't have you, no one can syndrome? My heart starts to pound against my rib cage. If he killed my mom just because she wasn't his mate, I will make sure that his death is very slow and very painful. I should have figured something like that would happen. My brother was always stealing everything away from me. I finally found a girl that I liked, so of course she had to be his mate. He didn't even deserve her, but she still accepted him. He had been whoring around his entire life, but she didn't even care about that. She just completely ignored that fact. I tried to warn her of the danger she was getting herself into by being with him, but she just brushed me off, he says with a bitter chuckle. After that moment, my life changed for the worse. I stopped caring about school and what my parents wanted. I was tired of being the perfect one. It wasn't getting me anywhere in life, so I decided to change. I started to do the things that I wanted to do. Things that I once hated my brother for doing became things that brought me comfort. A dark, sinister smile appears on his face and his eyes glint dangerously. My parents were concerned about me, but there wasn't much that they could do. Everyone tried to reach out to me and help me, even my brother, but I obviously wasn't going to listen to him. Mary tried to talk to me and tell me that what I was doing was wrong too, but I brushed her off. He looks around the area with a smirk on his face. Don't worry, though. This isn't some story where I say that after a while I realized that they were right, so I changed my mind. It would be a pretty boring story if that was what I was going to say. No one reacts to his statement, just like he wanted. Instead of listening to them and seeking help, I let my anger and hurt fuel me. I trained more and more. I broke away from my family even more, and I started to make a family of my own. Once I had the support I needed, I decided to leave the pack. I also started to plan my revenge. I couldn't just let my brother have a happy life after all he had done to me. My fist clenches tightly, and I have to stop myself from lunging forward and attacking him. There is no doubt in my mind that he played a part in my mother's death. When I first came up with this plan, I never knew how much of an impact a mate had on people. I started with the smaller packs where it was easier to attack. Slowly, I was able to build up my army. My men and I started to take out the lunas of every pack we could get our hands on. Packs all around the world started to fear my pack, and I without even knowing who we were or what we looked like. My men and I were able to take over those packs easily, since apparently mates can't cope with losing their other half. I wouldn't know that feeling, though, since I rejected my mate. Patrick looks around the clearing and smiles when he sees the shocked and angry looks on some people's faces. I try to keep my face blank and expressionless, but my resolve is slipping with each moment that he continues to talk. I see some of you guys are remembering what happened to your pack's lunas. That was a good time for me. I finally had the power that I wanted, and I was finally kind of happy. I had my army, and I was becoming more and more powerful each day. That changed, though, when I found out that Mary and Max had a kid together. It was almost like they did that to mock me, a constant reminder of my bitter past. The look of pure hate that he sends me almost makes me take a step back. Some things are starting to make sense to me. I remember being so confused as to how or why my mom knew those guys. Obviously, they were some of the people my uncle started to get involved with before he left the pack. I had to find a way to pay back my dear brother for everything he had done. I temporarily put the killings on hold and decided to get close to them and see what his weakness was. Of course, the only weakness he had was his mate. Every day, I had to watch them be all loving with each other. It made me sick. Ryder, I remember when you were born. Your mom was so happy, and at first your dad was happy too. After a while, though, your mom started to pay more and more attention to you and less attention to your dad. It wasn't like she was ignoring him. It was just that she wasn't spending every waking moment with him, and that angered him. Did you know that your father tried to have you killed when you were only a few months old? He was going to drown you and then tell your mom some lie. I saved your life. He stares directly at me as he says all of this. I don't doubt what he said about my father trying to kill me. My dad never liked me, and he never tried to hide that fact. It was then that I realized you were my ticket to happiness. Even from a young age, you showed power and strength way beyond your years. I realized that you would make a good soldier and a good ally. I wanted you on my side. I knew that after some time, you would be unstoppable. A new plan came to my mind. I didn't need to take out all the lunas anymore. I just needed to make sure that you never met your mate. I didn't want to do to you what I had to do to your father. Unfortunately for me, you did meet your mate. It almost makes me feel like killing all those lunas was a waste, since the one I wanted gone was merely a baby, he says, before looking down at my mate. After a few seconds, he looks back up and stares directly at me. I remember that day very clearly. Mary was good friends with the Luna of the Crescent Falls pack. The Luna of the Crescent Falls pack came to visit Mary one day, and she had a small baby with her. It was almost like deja vu for me, since as soon as Ryder saw the baby, he said mate. I frown as I process that information. I had met Elizabeth when she was just a baby, and I recognized her as my mate. Why don't I remember any of that? I remember a lot of details from my childhood, so I'm pretty sure I would have remembered meeting my mate. I'm sure you don't remember that, though, since I had a friend of mine wipe your memory as soon as she left. I also tried to have her killed, but somehow she lived, and the Luna was killed instead. I see Zach's shaking form in the corner of my eye. I almost feel bad for him, but then I remembered all the pain that he caused my mate. My mission is finally complete, though. It's taken many years, but I am finally victorious. My attention snaps back to the current situation, and my brain starts putting all the pieces together. He wasn't just going around killing Lunas so he could gain packs. His main reason for doing that was so he could feel like he was in control and that he had power. Apparently, when he saw me, he realized that I would be the answer to whatever it is that he wanted to accomplish. He was going to manipulate me. That's why he was so nice to me when I was growing up. He wanted me to repay his kindness by completing his sick plan. That all changed, though, when I met Elizabeth, and now he thinks there's only one thing he can do. He's going to try and kill Elizabeth. I growl at the thought, and I have to refrain from jumping forward. By the time I could get to them, he would have already stabbed her, and she would be on her way to dying. He grabs her hair and tugs on it, which causes another growl to escape from me. "Do you have any last words before I kill you?" he asks mockingly. I look around him and try to think of a plan to save my mate. I can't think of anything, though. If I try to do something, she will be dead in a few minutes. I start panicking slightly while trying to think of something, anything that I can do. I see that my pack is having the same reaction. Some of them who are on the Patrick side start sprinting forward, but I stay frozen in my spot with wide eyes. In one swift motion, Patrick's arm slashes forward, and I feel my heart stop beating. Elizabeth's POV. Let me take control. I need to show this man who he is dealing with. Who does he think he is? Alex growls at me. I try to calm her down, but I don't think it's really working. I want to listen to what he has to say, though. I want to know why he wants to kill me. Plus, I think Ryder should finally know the truth about his uncle. It will give him closure, I reply, hoping she'll understand my reasoning. Alex grumbles something under her breath, which I ignore. I really do want to hear what Patrick has to say. I just want to know why he's done all that he's done. Throughout his story, I can't help but feel a little sympathy for him. He had a pretty rough childhood. I'm not saying that makes up for anything he's done, but still, I can sort of understand why he's so crazy. He starts pulling on my hair, which causes me to wince. I catch Ryder's eyes and I see how nervous he is. I try to mind link him, but then I realize that I can't. I also can't feel Annabelle. Patrick must have that plant thing with him that cuts off our connections with our wolf. It's times like this when I'm thankful that I'm part vampire. If I wasn't, I would have no way to defend myself. But I'm not worried since I have Alex. I can't let him know that, though, so I pretend to be scared and nervous.